Now, before we get started discussing this vile, lazy, pathetic, unionized political shill who could give two shits about any child in this country, I want you to check out my latest Too Spicy for YouTube video over on Rumble, link in the description box. And while you're there, please subscribe. I'm about to break the 1,000 sub mark over there. Who would have thought, right? Anyways, okay, on to these vile, pathetic, lazy teachers union scumbags.
Brothers and sisters, I'm proud to be here representing the 1.6 million members of the AFT. Last week,
over the past few years, I've grown accustomed to hearing ludicrous statements from all avenues of the teaching profession. However, Randi Weingarten's recent declaration that, quote, kids do better in schools with teachers' unions certainly takes the cake. Randi Weingarten sounds like a dude with a porn stash in a 70s band, a guitarist or whatever. Anyways, Weingarten, who currently serves as president of the American Federation of Teachers, which sounds and probably pans out about like Planned Parenthood, right? Anyways, she was previously president over the United Federation of Teachers and recently penned an op-ed for the Daily Beast, of all places, in which she made numerous false claims in an effort to cast teachers' unions in a more positive light. Well, apparently, Weingarten is under the assumption that Americans have very, very short memories and have forgotten the wanton destruction wrought by teachers' unions, which became especially evident during the pandemic. So, without further ado, here are the 4 most absurd assertions courtesy of Weingarten. Lie number 1, quote, research shows that teachers' unions are positively associated with student achievement, unquote. Well, of course, the total opposite is true. According to U.S. News and World Report, quote, research has consistently shown that private school students tend to perform better in standardized tests. The National Association of Educational Progress, which is often referred to as the nation's report card, assessed both public and private school students in subjects such as math, reading, science, and writing. The most recent NAEP data shows what other researchers have found: private school students score much better in almost all subjects. On college entry tests such as the SAT, they found that students in private schools consistently outperformed their public school peers in all subject areas. Lie number 2, and folks, you're going to love this one, especially you, Mrs. Brown, if you're out there. Quote, after the onset of the pandemic, teachers worked harder than ever, unquote. Now, this would be true had Weingarten inserted the words non-public school and homeschooling parents before teachers, you see. In reality, the vast majority of teachers' unions refused to teach in person during the duration of the pandemic and for months, and in some cases, more than a full year after the pandemic had subsided. Meanwhile, almost all private schools remained open for in-person learning during the same period. I just don't understand how they survived the debacle. That's a good question for Mrs. Weingarten. Yeah, but there's not a snowball's chance in hell anybody will ever ask her that. Anecdotally, we've also witnessed countless stories of teachers and teachers' union officials going on vacation while they vehemently pushed to keep public schools closed under the guise of the pandemic. Okay, lie number 3, quote, in addition to fighting for educators to be paid in accordance with the important work they do, my union also fights for what students, their families, and their communities need, unquote. To put it lightly, and I'm really trying to put it lightly, teachers' unions care about one thing and one thing only: growing membership so that their union can extract more dues, you see. As was made plain and clear throughout the pandemic, teachers' unions could give two shits about their students' families, or their damned communities. Are you kidding me, lady? If you'll recall, as 2020 Virginia gubernatorial candidate Terry McAuliffe put it, who strongly supports teachers' unions, infamously put it, I should say, quote, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach, unquote. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant move. Moreover, if teachers' unions actually cared about students, families, and communities, I would think they would be at least sympathetic to the overwhelming cry from these people that they desperately desire school choice. But school choice is a competitive threat to the public school monopoly, so no wonder teachers' unions adamantly oppose school choice in any form whatsoever. If you really want to see modern-day slavery, like real modern-day slavery in action, watch an inner-city Chicago, New York, Boston, you name the city, private school raffle or lottery. It's disgusting. It's literally, for a lot of these folks, the only way off the Democrat plantation. It's basically a room full of black mothers wishing and praying that their child gets picked to have the opportunity to go to a local private school. Obviously knowing that that will get their child, somewhat long-term mind you, the hell out of the hood. It's yet another sad sight brought to the black and brown community almost exclusively by the Democrats and their corrupt-ass teachers' unions. Okay, moving on to lie number 4. Quote, many teachers are scared to allow discussions of complex topics that help prepare students for a healthy democracy. She continues, history teachers worry whether they can teach slavery, Reconstruction, or civil rights. Add all this to the case for teachers' right to a union, unquote. Now, I don't need to stress this or point this out to you folks, but I'm going to go ahead and say it just to put the words in the air, so to speak. I can say with 100% certainty that no teacher is remotely afraid of teaching about slavery, Reconstruction, or the civil rights movement, for crying out loud. In fact, most states' curriculum standards mandate an in-depth exploration of all 3 of these topics. It is a complete farce to claim that teachers are being forbidden to teach these subjects. It's an outright lie, but again, no one will say or do anything about it. While we're on the topic real quick, can someone in the comments section please explain to me just how teachers suddenly claimed minority privileges or something? Meaning, we all of a sudden just can't have honest conversations about how they have basically completely failed our children for at least a decade or 2 at this point, and that isn't even touching the inner cities. My God, those kids can't count past their thumbs or spell the word school. In closing, Weingarten is clearly on the defensive. She is well aware that the unacceptable behavior on behalf of teachers' unions has totally exposed them during the pandemic. Furthermore, I think she sees that school choice and educating your own damn children is gaining momentum throughout the country. Weingarten's screed is nothing more than a last gasp from an unadaptive institution that is desperate to stay relevant and in business, because it's all about business, right? To put it lightly, it is past time that we consider alternatives to teachers' unions, which do not help children. As they have demonstrated all too often as of late, teachers' unions exist to enrich and empower the adults who run them and the politicians who receive massive campaign donations to do their bidding. Most of this came by way of The American Thinker. If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Hi. Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.